Some delightful and pointed cartoons to get through with you now as we're joined by Johannes Leak, the editorial cartoonist at The Australian. Good to see you, Johannes. You've been very generously shared with us your colleague John Spooner's editorial cartoon for tomorrow's Australian. It is absolutely a classic. He's got Daniel Andrews and Tim Pallas, his treasurer, standing outside the Belton Road Cafe, and he's got the Chinese communist bullies saying, "This is a nice place you've got here. Pity if anything should happen to it." And Daniel Andrews says, "You must be mistaken, kind sir. You already own this place."
Well, he's summed up the sort of the gangster-like inclinations of the Chinese Communist Party so beautifully that this is effectively what they do. They come into a place, they make you an offer you can't refuse, and before you know it, you're bound to them, and there's no way out anymore. So I think it's lovely the way he sort of tapped into that kind of gangster look, you know? Yeah,
no, he's done well. There's another one of his set in the same state and related issues because of the way we import so much for our renewable push from China. They burn our coal to make stuff that we bring in here. And you've got Daniel Andrews saying, what's the big deal? China can have our coal for nothing so long as they lend us the money to, and Pallas is saying, buy the stuff they make with it. And that is another beautiful twist on the economic absurdity of what we're doing.
It absolutely is. You can just kind of imagine that the Chinese are sitting out. They probably laugh and think, these things are more or less useless. We wouldn't build our economy off the back of them. We burn their coal, but we'll keep sending these off to places that seem to want to use them if they're silly enough to do it. You know what I mean?
Look, I think Daniel Andrews is going to be drawn in a mouse suit forever. Mark Knight's cartoon from the other day is a classic. The media continually ask us to reveal what's our secret Belt and Road infrastructure deal with China. And Pallas there again as the loyal servant. I thought it was obvious. And we've got Melbourne, Flinders Street Station looking like the Forbidden City. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, with a great big Mao painting has already gone up. And, yeah, I mean, this was such a big issue to work with during the week, and you're right. I do think there'll be plenty of opportunities to be drawing Comrade Dan in one of those strange sort of grey tunics that they wear.
Well, you've done beautifully with your cartoon late last week too, linking in the island building initiatives of the Communist China regime as well. Despite the pandemic, our island building initiative in southern waters continues unimpeded. They're just heaved off Victoria from the south of this continent.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about the reclamation of islands in the South China Sea, where they just sort of dig them up using sand and gravel from the ocean floor, and I suppose that's one way to create islands. The other way to create islands is to just sort of chip away at the land around a chunk of land and build a moat. And I think that's what seems to be happening with Victoria, that they're just sort of drifting off now away from the mainland.
It's just extraordinary. I wonder where it's all going to end. But in the meantime, it's very, very rich pickings for cartoonists. I want to go to this border debate. We started the program with the closing of borders because of the coronavirus shutdown. Your cartoon today in The Australian was just beautiful, a beautiful rendition of all of this, because you've got Anastasia Palaszczuk sitting up in the fort. How much longer can we keep the walking dead out, keeping out all these potential tourist people who want to bring money into the state, while the publicans and everybody else in Queensland are just zombies tearing the place apart? It's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I drew heavily on the zombie film genre, you know, and there's that. It's a brilliant zombie film. 28 Days Later, I think it was a Danny Boyle movie, and it just the 2 week that this idea they have of keeping the rest of the country waiting for 2 incubation periods worked out perfectly for 28 days and tied in nicely with the idea of The Walking Dead, because it's this absurd situation where they want to keep the infected out, but meanwhile within Queensland, I mean, the state is withering and dying as the local economy just sort of shuts down and businesses.
You've got the hotels and the pubs and the Great Barrier Reef tours. They're all just green, rotting zombies. I haven't seen 28 Days. I'll have to check that one. I've seen Shaun of the Dead, which is a fantastic a zombie movie set in London. But we'll have to catch up with that another time. Thanks for joining us, Johannes. Love your work.